Alright, so I thought I'd put together a video showing what I did to prepare for the Menace Sleeps in Costlemark Tower dungeon. This is one of the harder dungeons in the game, and I actually saved this for the last thing I did in Final Fantasy 15. Basically because I was trying to prepare for this dungeon, because you can't use any items in it. It's going to be hard, right? So, a couple of things in spirit of disclosure, I didn't come up with this method. This was primarily Kevin 791129 on GameFAQs. Alright, so go check out his post on there to read everything in detail. But he definitely put together the groundwork for what I do here. The other thing too is I didn't realize I was on easy mode till about halfway through the dungeon, and I didn't switch it. So there's that. Alright, take that for whatever it's worth. Okay, I'd been farming Magitech suits and never switched it back over to normal mode. Alright, so let's get going. The first thing you're going to want to get is 3 Wind Up Lord Vexos. Alright, you can only get those from the Justice Monsters 5 10,000 Gil machine in Alticia. And to be honest, I only got 2 of them because I had so many Zubiks from earlier. But the idea is you're going to want to craft some spells, right? You're going to want the Flare, Freeze, and Electron spell. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going off of memory here. So you're going to want to craft those, right? Basically what he recommends you do is use one of the Wind Up Lord Vexos plus 99 of the main element, 49 of the other element, and then that should give you about 54 of these casts, which should be plenty of each one. I think I used fire and freeze the most down in there. There's a couple of times I did use the electricity one, or the lightning one, but primarily I used the fire and ice. The other thing you want is the Lasagna al Forno, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So this is going to give you the 4,000 hit point boost, which you're going to need because all of your accessories are going to drop your hit points down because they're status protecting accessories. I hope that makes sense. So make sure you have that recipe already unlocked. If you need ingredients for it, you can find them over at the Hunter headquarters, Cape Kime, and then in Lestalem. Alright, so make sure you buy enough to make probably at least 5, maybe 6 meals, depending on where you camp at right before you go into the dungeon. What I did was I went back to Alticia just to take advantage of the meal there, so I didn't have to wait a full day. Obviously that eats up some of your time too. But anyway, once you get all of that, you want to make sure you have a good greatsword and good daggers. Okay, so I mean, again, I did this at the last thing I did in the game, so I had everything else I needed. I had the best daggers and the best greatsword that you could have. You might have them at the same time as well, but you're going to need a good greatsword and a good pair of daggers. The other thing you want to have ribbons, safety bits. He recommended a mystic circlet. I went with black hood instead. Basically you wanted things to protect yourself and to increase your magic. So he recommended the Sword of the Father, Scepter of the Pious, and Shield of the Just, which, you know, I didn't use all 3 of those. I had the magic on, and then I just used the Scepter of the Pious. But ribbons did well, safety bits did well. On the rest of the boy band, yeah, I put on friendship bands and things to help them out. So I had Ring of Resistance there because I knew I was going to be casting a lot of magic. And basically the techniques that you want to use: regroup, impulse, and gravisphere. Those 3. Regroup is like a necessity because that's going to be the primary means that you heal yourself, and even on easy mode it saved me a couple of times. Impulse I didn't use a whole lot. There was a couple of times I used them in the mobs, but Gravisphere, Prompto's Gravisphere was phenomenal with the mobs and with a couple of the enemies in here that were weak to machinery. But that's pretty much it, man. So to summarize up, you know, make sure you got the 3 Wind Up Lord Vexos or plenty of Zubiks. Make sure you got ingredients for the Lasagna al Forno, at least 5 to 6 of those. Alright, you're going to want to use those at every campsite you run across in there. And then if you go to GameFAQs, you should be able to look up the weaknesses to each of the enemies that you're going to run across. Alright, that way you're not trying to remember which ones are weak to what. But as you're playing through the dungeons, you know, it should become pretty obvious which ones are weak to what going through there. But hopefully that helps you guys out. I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. If you get in trouble, hey, hit regroup, boom, jump back, you know, save up a little bit, dodge enemies, And I got through this thing in probably a little over an hour, to be honest with you, using this method. It was fairly straightforward. I don't even think I took any damage the first half of the dungeon, and it could have been because I was on easy mode. Again, I'm not sure. That's it, guys. Hope this helped out, and don't forget to go check out GameFAQs. All right, take care. Peace.
Good to see you back, boys. I heard what you did. You faced the threats and defeated them all. With this, you've fulfilled a promise that was made long ago by none other than your father.
What?
It was some 30 years ago. His Majesty came here, stood on that very spot, and took the vow.
To chase out the threats?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. As soon as the war was over, he said.
The war.
When the Crown City fell to the Empire, I thought it spelt the end of Lucis. I truly did. But a light that burns so brightly doesn't go out so easily. Thank you, Prince Noctis, for everything. So long as you're alive, I know that the kingdom is safe.